Hi folks, welcome back to the Rangers Reviews post-match briefing after a defeat in Perth that I think for the majority, I'd be surprised if anyone doesn't think that has a very terminal feeling about it today, both for the manager and the team's chances this season. Rangers fall to their second defeat in the league, but it's drop points again on the back of recent drop points against Livingston. It means they're 7 points behind at the top of the table, and more than anything, more than the result, more than even the gap, it is the culmination of, I think, a number of things boiling over and eventually maybe results catching up with performances. Rangers, I actually thought, started better than they have in some away games, but when it started to fall apart, when they went behind, I just thought it exposed so much the lack of, what do you hold on to today? What quantifies not doing a good job? And I don't think there's elements of a discernible style, but it's not worked over a long term. The results have sort of dried up and caught up. You look at Motherwell away 3 weeks ago, when that was a game that on any other day, if Motherwell maybe had a bit more about them, Rangers could have dropped points there. And it feels like this has been something that's therefore been a potential to have a game like this where it does feel so terminal for a while. And today that's what it ends up in. As I say, it did have a very terminal feel, booing in either stand, the home fans singing "You're getting sacked" in the morning to Van Bronckhorst, and overall just a disastrous game, and you don't really know where to start with it. The fact that Rangers almost pull something back for me means nothing, simply because it's two long shots, and at the end of the day, if all you've got to try and get back into the game is lumping the ball with James Tavernier or John Lundstrom's right leg, then I don't think that's much to hold on to either. And football's a results-based business. I don't think you can, if you're in Van Bronckhorst's shoes at the moment, you can point to too many things that ease the pressure. It's not as if the results have been brilliant. The performances certainly haven't. In Europe, what was, I think, his kind of strength last season, getting these results that supercharged the season and earned so much adulation, as it went in the complete opposite direction. So I think little for him to hold on to after the game. I'm just going to read some comments out. Naturally, I think there's a lot of feeling that a game like this needs to provoke change, because I guess the question is, if not now, then when? What quantifies doing a job bad enough for there to be change? 7 points behind, and it's November, but Rangers also about 16 goals behind, I think, in goal difference. They had 20 corners today, and I know Tavernier scored from when the ball was ricocheted out to them at the edge of the box. They were just so just unoffensive from corners. St Johnstone were so comfortable when they were having to defend them. It was one of many problems that I thought came out today. We'll get through some comments. Alan frustrated at Kent's automatic selection. Yeah, there was a moment with Kent where he didn't realise the ball was, I think he thought the referee had blown the whistle, and I thought that kind of epitomised just the frustration surrounding him at the moment. There's another moment where he thought the ball had gone out and he saw it running, and Van Bronckhorst there's a few watching Van Bronckhorst's reactions that second half, I think, was quite telling. Really frustrated when Sakala went down but stayed on the pitch. He just tried to, I guess, read into these things and pick up his demeanour. He'll know that he needed a result in the performance today. When you're expected to by the fans to win, and when the anticipation is that you win the league, when you fall short of those margins, again, I just think it's such unique situations that you can be excused. For example, I know there's injuries today, but hypothetically, if there was a definitive style of play or a set first choice 11 or something to buy into or a number of young players or a number of players that have improved since Van Bronckhorst came into this season, I don't think he's been helped by the fact that the squad, I don't think anyone could say it shouldn't have been turned over this summer instead of next. He spoke about the 10 players out of contract next summer in his press conference this week. I don't think he's been helped by that. I don't know what that is. But he's the manager. He's the one that picks a team and is ultimately responsible alongside the players for the performance. And it was just, again, nowhere near good enough today. And would you be at all confident if that more drop points won't follow this season? it's definitely not a good situation for Rangers to be in. Going to get through some more of these comments. Nathan saying not looking forward to Ibrox during the week. Yeah, I think it has the potential to get a bit messy. There was boos at the end from either stand here at McDermott Park, and again, how can you argue with that? You can't. Van Bronckhorst has consistently said that he's been on I think in midweek he said he's been on the side where the financial gulf is so big that you expect to win and you should win. Now, it's the exact same between Rangers and St Johnstone comparatively as it is between Rangers and Ajax. So applying that same logic, I think that is that he has spoken about. This is a result that obviously shouldn't happen from Rangers' point of view. To St Johnstone's credit, I thought they took their moments. The strike was a wonder strike, but from Rangers' point of view, to go through the 2 goals. Firstly, Lundstrom gives the ball away cheaply. Then Tavernier gives the ball away cheaply. Then Kent slow to close down, and it goes in the top corner. The second goal comes after Rangers have just changed their shape to try and get 2 strikers up top, and as a result, go 3 at the back. And I think it's Barisic that's beaten to the cross by Nicky Clark at the front post. But again, just those moments in games where you look at it and so little to hold on to or think this is a positive. I thought the team looked tired. I thought they looked too reliant on crosses. And again, although Van Bronckhorst spoke after about you need to be better with your moments in the first half, Rangers had a lot of results where they haven't performed really well at all, and they have got the results. Motherwell is a good example of that, and today was not one of those days, and eventually that result has caught up with them this afternoon. I get through another comment here. There's no dynamism in the midfield. All players are too similar. We need ball players in there, and we never looked like scoring even when we did. Yeah, again, that Tavernier strike, I've not watched it back, but looked to me like the keeper maybe slightly suspect for it. But as well as that, Lundstrom hits the bar. Yeah, but if you're relying on players scored 20 yards to win you games, then results like this are going to happen. I thought Rangers within the first 20 minutes, I thought they pinned St Johnstone well, but they just lacked. And I actually thought the midfield had an okay balance with Tillman, Lundstrom, and Sands in there. But once the game started to get stretched, they were so open, and this is something we've spoken about before, because they mark up man for man. The pitch just can be so open when the ball turns over. And as a result, St Johnstone were able to get up pitch, mainly for that second goal as well. Where Ross says, why do we persist with these woeful outswinging crosses? Ross, it is a great question. And, when you're looking at the 18th, 19th, 20th corner going in today, and it's the same one, that's what confuses me. It's the same one. Why not mix it up? Rangers scored 15 goals from corners last season. They've scored 2 from corners this season. 3 if you count Tav's strike in the second phase today when the ball goes out to him at the edge of the box. But it was so comfortable for St Johnstone to defend them. And, set pieces, like anything in football, it's a small potential marginal gain that's important. If Rangers score from a couple of corners in the first half, it's a completely different complexion. But they didn't. And as a result, the complexion is different. The corners, we wrote about it maybe a month and a half ago, how much the kind of expected numbers had dropped off in corners this season, and set pieces more widely. Today was, again, epitomised that. After Sakala got above his man and hit the bar, I can't think of another single time that Rangers went close. The fact that they didn't mix it up, no routines, nothing really different. I just don't think, again, I don't think it's a good indictment, especially when you're on a run of form like they have been. You need all these small marginal gains to go your way. They weren't able to, take advantage of the 20 corners they had today, which is, a lot. Jack says it was a stupid decision to go to a back 3 with 2 fullbacks in there. Yeah, it was probably a bit of desperation, I think, on 60 minutes from the manager to try and get as many attackers on the pitch. But I think, Jack, you're right. It blew up immediately with Barisic getting, I think it was Clark got in front of Barisic. And even then, Rangers, to my money, aside from that Tavernier strike, I thought they looked worse than when they went behind than when they had been in front. And there was just an air of desperation. Hypothetically, Rangers did have time to claw something back into this game. But the confidence looks so fragile, especially when the players have conceded so many goals. I think players like Kent, Morelos look tired, an absolute shadow of their former selves. Think of how many goals Morelos has scored here. I remember, I think it was Gerrard's first season when Morelos scored 2 from crosses to get Rangers back into the game and win 2 on that day. Just looks a a shadow of his former self. So within the the pressure that Van Bronckhorst is under, and players like Morelos and Kent not playing well is part of obviously his responsibility because he's the manager as well. But the state of the squad, I think, and where it could have been this summer, when you look at the number of players that are going to be out of contract next summer, when you look at the fact that Morelos and Kent, the heights they've been at in their Rangers career now, are at these depths where it's hard to predict them staying. And even if that was to be announced tonight, I don't know what the excitement levels would even be like because their performances have been so poor. I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the situation. We'll just get through a few more comments, and we are going to be live with a longer show tonight, just given the circumstances. Myself and Johnny will be live later on once I'm back in the house in Glasgow. Simon says, I'm fed up of watching Rangers. Does that say enough? Yeah, I think that's an opinion that is shared by a lot of people tuning in, Simon, and a lot of people that were in attendance today were watching. Rangers had the time today to try and turn it around. As I say, I thought in the first half they were better than they have been away from home, but ultimately it wasn't good enough, and the results, I think, have caught up with the performances. And Neil says, another horror show, passive, aimless and rubbish. I actually feel a bit sorry for Ken, massively out of form, but we've recruited so badly. There is no one else decent in there. Ian says, I feel sorry for you, Josh, having to sit down and watch that live. There's a lot of people watching it live today, Ian here, and I think justifiably so. Those boos at full time spoke to their discontent. It's been too long. Van Bronckhorst has been here now a year this month, and I just, since the best domestic run he's had, for my money, in terms of performances and results, was actually his first 6 games up until Christmas. And ever since then, a culmination of maybe Europe last season, the squad, all these things that come into play. And while these are all relevant, what club doesn't have to go through difficult summers of turning the squad over and face injuries and whatnot? We see Fashion Sakala going off today. We don't know if that's anything serious or maybe just a bit of fatigue. So just a really bad situation all round. We'll just get a couple more comments. Ali says, no, Lowry is a disgrace. Yeah, I don't know what the situation there with Lowry is. If there is no knock or anything that is strange, there's no post-match press conference after the game, the away game, so not had a chance to put that to the manager, but maybe something that we'll follow up on in midweek, because Lowry, he obviously came on in the Champions League, but not having him on the bench today did seem a bit strange, particularly as I don't think he played for the B team yesterday. So, yeah, a bit of a strange one there. And we'll just get a couple more before we finish. This last one here from Millerman. Gio's subs were terrible. Arfield did nothing. Tillman would have been better staying on the park. Yeah, Tillman had a few moments where I think he attracted the ire of the fans, but overall in the first half, I thought he was pretty positive. But again, we come back to this point of, he's this 20-year-old player who's hardly played any football, becoming a bit of a lightning rod. And yes, of course, he has deficiencies in his game as any player does. I thought at points today he was a little bit below standard, as well as in other points I thought he was promising on the ball in the first half. The difficulty I think Rangers have is they don't really have a set, because things change so much. Maybe they don't have that set foundation, so that when things go hit the fan, when they're 2-0 behind, they just resort to crossing, which we've seen so many times now. And we've seen so many times because the playing squad hasn't really been, refreshed, and as a result, if you try the same thing, then the same outcome is normally going to happen. I think we'll leave it there just now. But as I say, we'll be live later on today, so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell. We'll look back on the game in more detail, but also ask, where does it leave Van Bronckhorst? Can he realistically come back from this? Can the club afford to drop more points before the league campaign is actually terminal? Because 7 points just now, they're banking on Celtic dropping points, but also Rangers not dropping any more points for them to claw their way back into the title race. That certainly doesn't look realistic, that Rangers won't drop more points based on that performance today. So do hit the notification bell on YouTube, subscribe to our website as well, and we'll speak to you later on today. Thanks very much for joining me.